Hey there, folks. We're going to take a question on the old red dots. Let's get into it. One thing that has been nagging me for a while is how you describe your thought process when you're shooting with a red dot. Uh-oh. I hate nagging people. Wouldn't want to do that. It almost sounds like the dot is there just as a confirmation that the gun is aimed where you pointed it and is no longer even really relevant to you for aiming. Well, I do use the word confirmation. I think it's a great word. So instead of using the word aiming, I will say confirmation. So you got me there. All right. Would you be able to shoot and run drills just fine with the dot off at this point, or is there still some subconscious dot aiming going on? Good. So let's parse this out and go through it. So if you see somebody high level-ish shooting with a handgun with a red dot on it, or iron sights for that matter, it'll be like, shooting aggressively, that kind of thing. You can watch a drill supercut video. If you want to see that in more detail, they're up on the channel. But yeah, you'll see like the guy, I'll look at a target, the gun will come over and it'll just be stopping in most cases, and then I'll start shooting. If you're watching that, you'll be like, there's like no way that I like took the, aim, like pointed the gun over there, changed the aim of the gun like this. So like, yep, the dot's there, and then pulled the trigger, and reacquired the dot. Okay, there it is, and then pull the trigger again. There's no way I'm doing that at that speed. It almost looks like unaimed fire. I wouldn't say necessarily just like, well, you could call it point shooting. That's kind of a weird term because people have different definitions of it, but it almost looks like I'm just pointing the gun at the target and pulling the trigger. That's what it looks like. Um, yeah, that's fair to say. It's also fair to say, as many viewers of the channel can shoot pretty well. This channel tends to attract guys that practice a lot. Let's say I'm shooting an exercise or something, or shooting in a stage or something like that, and the red dot fails. I mean, I might continue just pulling the trigger, and you might be really surprised how accurate that can be. That actually happened one time at a match. It was actually at a limited nationals match. The front sight flew off of my gun in the middle of the stage, and it was actually kind of noteworthy because people watching it like didn't know that had happened. I just continued shooting with barely a hiccup, and the points were still there. The hits were still really good. So, like, what exactly is going on here? Well, most shooting, like high level shooting, is happening fast, and I would say it is unconscious. So it's like it's not consciously controlled all the way necessarily, and it's happening at a predictive pace, meaning it's happening faster than I can like consciously control every round. Um, because of all the amount of training that you do and that kind of stuff, I understand that if the gun comes up out of the holster and I grip it the same way every time, look at the spot where I want the sight to go, the sight's going to go to the spot that I look unless something happens, unless there's some error, like the grip is not quite right, or I like get some tension in my shoulder, and the gun doesn't go there. So the word confirmation is really appropriate here. I don't really aim in the traditional sense. It's more like look at where I want the sight to go. Like the sight will go there, and then I just at close range, like 10, 12, 15 yards, depending on some things, I'll just register the color of the sight and then pull the trigger. At more distance, it'll slow things down enough that the sight will start to look like a red dot to me. And again, like as soon as I register the dot, like where I want it, pull the trigger, right? That's what's happening at speed because of the amount of training and repetition that's done with this. Now, can I shoot just fine with sights not attached to the gun or with the red dot turned off or something like that? Well, typically yes. Typically I can shoot better than you might expect without sights even on the gun, because all the other pieces of the technique are still going to be in place. Again, grip consistency, um, like body position, index consistency, and all that stuff. Now, it's still a really good idea to have sights on the gun because, well, then I can confirm and be accountable for all those rounds actually going where I want, because I will register the sight as I'm shooting, and at least retrospectively, I understand where those rounds are going. I can shoot extra rounds if need be. And if the position is a little bit awkward, like I'm crouching, leaning, something like that, then I'm not going to be trained at the level where I can just index on the target and shoot with that level of confidence. So obviously there's really, really good reasons to have sights on the gun. But as this guy's pointing out, it's just like, it seems like all these other technical pieces are at a point where, yeah, I mean, I could almost shoot without the sights. Again, for consistency and accountability reasons, I don't really think that's a good idea. But what that should demonstrate to you is, again, the consistency of like grip, index, target focus, all of those mechanics are in place. And that's what I'm leaning on really heavily. And then I use the sight just to quickly confirm that indeed all those pieces were in place correctly. I'll just see the flash of color and go ahead and pull the trigger, right? For people that shoot focused on the sight, or people that like don't train to the level where they can consistently index and the sight's going to appear where they're looking, those people tend to be like focused on the sight itself, like, oh, I gotta find the dot, and like, articulate it that way. Those people, like what I'm doing or the way that I shoot, it looks like black magic or something. It looks like, hey, it's like you don't even need the sight, homie. Yes, I understand how that looks. So anyway, I hope that answers the question for you a little bit, gives you some insight. Just recognize there's all these other pieces of technique and training that are in place, and truly at higher levels and higher speeds of shooting, you really are just using the sight to quickly confirm what you already think you know, that the gun's pointed at the right place. I hope you found it helpful, guys.